And what's happening, YouTube? It's the Life Gain Avengers of Current Culture. It's me. It's that living legend over there next to me, living legend Larry. How you feeling, my brother?
Well, I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. Hanging with my niece today, so it's a good day.
It's always a good day. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are on TBS time. We are here 5 minutes early because we might be getting out of here early because brothers need some rest. We
Yeah.
tired and we got to get it in, but we got 4 subjects to cover and we might get them done in 30 minutes. We might be here an hour. I don't know, but probably going to be 30 minutes.
You know how we do, though, man. We get to talking.
You get to talking. That's how I do. That's how we do. I be trying to escape sometimes. Larry still want to talk about 5 different ranks to the levels of shovel ranks. I'm like, this guy. But ladies and gentlemen,
when I say we, it may mean me, but I'm still gonna use the all-encompassing we.
Oh yeah. You're a real team player, ain't you, Larry? Yeah, you someone taught you well about eluction skills. They taught you good fashion. But ladies and gentlemen, we've got 4 subjects we're going to cover. One, we're going to do a little bit of the review of Amazon's new comic, Invincible. Man, it go hard. It's good. Yeah. It's gritty. If you like The Boys, you'll definitely love Invincible. We're going to briefly talk about the George Floyd trial. Oh, my God. And how we hope it's not going to be more of the same. Then, ladies and gentlemen, check this out. We finally got some traction on the Thundercats. Oh, I can't wait to talk about that. And we'll end on a little bit of stocks. But my brother Larry, you seem like you was about to say something. What's on your mind?
What was the first story that you had mentioned?
Invincible.
I was just going to say, with Invincibles, if this thing was not an animated film, they'd have to make this straight up rated R because all the gore that's in there, man, it is gory.
Yeah, man. And I mean, but to some degree, you could say that The Boys is gory too, but it ain't gory on the level of this thing right here. Larry, let's give the people a preview before we dive into it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me set the predicate here before we go into it. You have a superhero who is a Superman-like figure. His name is Omni-Man. And he's from another planet, so you've got that whole Superman thing going on. And what happens with these dudes on their planet, because on their planet they all have superpowers, when they're basically ready to retire, they go to some other planet that could use a person with superpowers to supposedly help leverage the playing field for good. And when they're close to retirement, they want to pass down that gene to an offspring. So the story in the beginning takes place about Omni-Man, who has a son who's getting ready to hit puberty. And when you hit puberty with their superpowers, you start to get your powers.
Right.
Long story short, ladies and gentlemen, Omni-Man seemed like he's a good Boy Scout, but there is a group up here called the Guardians that are supposed to be the real deal superheroes working for the government. Omni-Man takes their asses all the hell out. And here's a little clip of the gore that ensued when Clark Kent Superman, who's supposed to be a good guy, decide, you know what, the hell with this good guy. I'm going to take out these other guys who think they're better than me as superheroes. Ladies and gentlemen, what you just saw was Omni-Man. That's their version of Superman, taking out the Guardians, who are supposed to be the police force for good people. I mean, this thing is good, and they released 3 episodes. The next episode comes on Friday. I'll give the floor to Larry for a brief moment to let him break down his feelings and emotions over the first 3 episodes. Larry, say something to the people.
I have to fully admit, I was not ready. I was not ready. I didn't know what to expect with this, but when I saw this, I was like, oh, snap. I was like, this was on some straight horror graphic anime type stuff where that was brutal. That scene was brutal. So it was good though. The series is good. And I love the fact that the dudes that voices his son is that dude from The Walking Dead, the Asian cat. The dude that played Glenn. I like that. I like that dude as an actor, and I like his voicing in here. So you know,
this is Omni-Man's son that you're looking at that winds up getting these invincible powers as his dad is starting to age out. And the thing is, can you as a man imagine knowing that when you hit puberty, you also going to get the superpowers of Superman? Can you imagine what that would feel like? Larry, how would you feel if you knew as a teenager, okay, I'm getting beat up by these bullies? Because there was a scene where he meets this black chick who's getting harassed by this one guy right here.
Right.
And he decides to step up to the lady. And he's like, you know what? Leave the lady alone. And he gets punched in the gut. He doesn't have his superpowers right now. That's real courage right there, ladies and gentlemen. When you know you don't have a power, but you're defending the honor of a woman who you might try to date, knowing that you don't have anything to combat this, you are showing real courage. He showed real courage. And in the end, they wound up getting together. An L. Yeah, he took an L. They wound up getting together by the 3rd episode. And she got a flavor for him. He got a flavor for her. But Larry, can you just imagine you being young Larry back in 1942 and you about to get these superpowers and you know it's coming and your dad got to teach you how to use them? How would you feel?
First, I have to say big ups to the super chats coming through, man.
Oh, man, I missed it. Oh,
man, they're coming through already.
You know? Let me give the people something to look at. I appreciate y'all super chatters. Let me give y'all this one because y'all.
Sure enough. Am I the prettiest? Sure enough. Am I the baddest mofo low down around this town? Sure enough. Well, who am I? Sure enough. Who am I? Sure enough. I can't hear you. Sure enough. The Shogun of Harlem.
I love that.
I appreciate y'all coming through with these super chats, man. I've got 32 people in here. Can I get 32 likes? And
Mike Willie, Steve Haskins.
I appreciate you, Steve. Always grateful. These super chats help keep us YouTubers going, and we're very, very grateful. But Larry, back to you. How would you feel if you was about to get these superpowers?
Man, I'll be honest with you. I would be really excited and happy to have him, but at the same time, I feel like his parents did him such a disservice because while they were waiting for him to get his powers, they didn't do anything to prepare him for it.
No.
Mm-hmm. Like his dad was because like in the show, part of it is that they get it sometime before what is on Earth normally their 18th birthday. But this kid is like coming real close to his 18th birthday. And so his dad was like, well, maybe, he's not going to get him. But, the thing is like, even while they were waiting for him to get him, they should have been preparing him emotionally. They should have been preparing him physically. They should have been preparing him morally because there is, as they say, with great power comes great responsibility, and they should have been preparing him for that. Luckily, the kid seems to have a pretty solid moral compass.
He does. He does.
And so,
I mean, this here highlights his moral compass. He took an L for this lady who was being harassed. And technically, she wound up beating up the dude anyway.
Right. She did. She took him down. Yeah. And the great thing about it was even later, when that in this episode, when the guy came back for him later, and started putting hands on him after he had gotten his powers, he could have just simply flicked him with a finger and knocked this dude into next week. And he didn't. He didn't touch him. He knew at that point that there was nothing this guy could do to him, and anything he did would potentially kill this guy. So he just left him be. Right. So which I think that shows a lot of intestinal fortitude, because I think a lot of people, after having endured being bullied, and your bully comes up and now all of a sudden you have the means to really do something to, I think a lot of people would take advantage and feel like they were wholly justified in their actions, and this guy didn't do that.
Well, Batman would have torn him a new one. I can tell you that right now.
Right.
Batman wouldn't even have wasted no time breaking his finger. Oh, Steve!
There we go again. Oh my goodness. We go.
Let me read this. Sorry to change the subject real quick, but do you think the therapist on Falcon and Winter Soldier is the power broker? Let me explain. Oh man, well please explain. Count the ways, my brother. Count the ways, and as you explain it, we'll finish up on Invincible. So Larry, as the story progresses, the son who the story is named after, the son is the one they're calling Invincible. He winds up getting his powers, and he doesn't know that his daddy is a two-faced hero killer. He doesn't know that on the low. His dad is doing that secretly. Nobody knows that the dad took out the Guardians. All right. Right. So the dad takes out the Guardians. They're looking for new Guardians. The son goes to the event to get involved, but he doesn't really try out because they pretty much have already selected their new Guardians. And this chick right here is one of them. Do you remember what her name was, Larry? What was her name?
I don't know. Hottie McBody? I forgot. Maybe it was like Amber or something like that.
Yeah, well, she has some powers. You see, she's flicking stars from her hands. Right. And they get into an event with a mad scientist type of guy who creates these things he can put on his wrist to create earthquakes so powerful they ricochet all the way to the molten core of the earth. And they go take this dude out. And when they encounter this dude, he's throwing every stereotype at these people, from Black Lives Matter stereotypes to gay stereotypes to Asian stereotypes. He was just unloading, which gives you a little bit of the fun.
Unleashing.
Yeah, he was unleashing. Anyway, he gets his ass kicked, even though it was a good fight. He gets his ass kicked, and we see more coming of the age of Invincible. And they go through and they kind of give you a highlighting of the new Guardians, which at some point in time, Larry, you got to assume they're going to put son versus dad at some point in time, because apparently no one else is powerful enough to take on Omni-Man except for the son, who is supposed to eventually be more powerful. You know,
actually, her name, the one that shoots stars out of her hands, her name is Amber. It's Amber Bennett.
Okay.
And she's actually played by a black chick that by Zazie Beetz.
Okay.
Yeah, she was the one that I think she's the one that played Domino, I think, in Deadpool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this show is good. And these were the Guardians until Omni-Man killed them all.
Yeah, it was funny because they basically had every character, every knockoff character of the Justice League with the Batman, the Wonder Woman character. I think they called her Warrior Woman or something.
Warrior Woman. They
called him Black Knight or something.
Yeah, Black Knight. They had a Flash character. They had an Aquaman character that was actually a fish. I mean, man, they
had
took
a lantern.
They had a
Martian. They had a Martian Manhunter.
Yep, they took liberties. I think that, guys, if you are the type of person who enjoys comics and you've always wanted to see a spin on superheroes being evil and how do you defeat these superheroes who have outlandish powers, this is going to be the show for you. I think in the end, Invincible is going to defeat his daddy based on something that he knows about his father that no one else knows. We'll see what happens with that. Let me read this comment, Larry, for our super chatter right here before it scrolls away. So this is Steve. He's talking about the therapist on Falcon Winter Soldier. Right. She already has history with John Walker, and she's a doctor. We don't know much about her, and we haven't met anyone yet who can be power broker. Why not go to someone he knows and trusts to get the serum? Steve, I'm not going to say that that's not a good theory because it possibly is. But if I had to put money on it, I'm betting on Thunderbolt Ross because remember, at the end of the Hulk movie, who gave Blonsky the serum to become Abomination? Thunderbolt Ross. And when the Hulk beat his ass, you saw Thunderbolt Ross sitting in the bar, eating peanuts, drinking stale beer, smoking stale cigars. When who walks in? Iron Man, to say, you have a problem. And Iron Man and Thunderbolt Ross say, we need to talk. So if I had to put money on it, I would say that maybe she's second in line behind Thunderbolt Ross to be the power broker. But I can't wait till they flesh it out. That's a good theory, my brother, and we like those good theories, so we'll keep it moving. So, Larry, I'm going to take us to subject number 2. Are you ready for a little bit of anger? If not,
I'm still thinking about this therapist for a minute, and I'm wondering. I mean, and this is a stretch.
Okay.
But I'm wondering if she is maybe either current or former Hydra, and by her working with him, thinking that he's getting, where he's been getting all this stuff out of his head, she might be on the slick getting back in his head, Well,
they wouldn't tell you that she knows she has a past with U.S. agent Walker for nothing. They obviously wanted you to know they have a past. And, maybe that past is one where, with her being a therapist, something happened with them and their unit that might have pushed her to be a therapist. And if I'm betting, I'm thinking she's going to be an ally. I don't think she's evil at all. I'm betting she's going to be an ally. But then again, Marvel is just the king sometimes of misdirection. Very much so.
I think she's going to be an ally too. I mean, I was wondering, like, there's a possibility of that. But the reason why I think she's going to be an ally is because she's so tough on him. Like, she doesn't take any crap from him. She has a sense about her, like she genuinely cares about him. And I think that that's something that you wouldn't get if it was somebody who was just basically playing him to try and get him set up or
that's
whatever.
What I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's why I think she's more of an ally.
I agree with you. I think she's. I mean, I was playing the theory that maybe she's something else, but I think you're right in the fact that she's an ally, and I think she genuinely cares about him, and I think that's going to play into their overall relationship. So,
and they've given her too big of a role, Larry. She's probably going to be integral in how they defeat U.S. agent. She might be the one to give up some information on him that nobody else knows except for her. Like I said, when Marvel gives you clues, they're not giving you that big clue for nothing. They made sure we knew that they had a past. They made sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see her. I wouldn't be surprised if we see her in one of these MCU movies coming up.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Hell, we might find out she has some superpowers. All we know is she might have some abilities to control people's minds or something. It would fit right in with her chosen profession.
It'd be effed up if she a Skrull. That would be effed up.
That would be great. That would be. I mean, because she could be a good Skrull. I mean, it's not like there's, it's not like they're all bad.
Yeah, it could be. Well, people, we're going to shift gears to news that we all have to deal with. It can be uncomfortable for some, but it's the reality of the world we live in. And we're always trying to find something to escape our reality. But on this channel, we sit your ass right in the heart of it, because the best way to deal with anything is not to run from a problem, but to go and deal with the problem. So this week, we've got Derek Chauvin, the guy who put his knee on George Floyd's neck and asphyxiated him. He's going to trial this week. Here's a little clip about what's been going on, how do people feel, and if there was going to be any riots coming forward.
Tonight in Minneapolis, security is tight. The National Guard activated as the city braces for potential unrest during its most high-profile murder trial ever.
Residents should be expecting a gradual increase in law enforcement and National Guard presence.
The jury of 9 women and 6 men now seated. The court says 9 identifying as white, 4 black, and 2 mixed race. Set to hear opening statements next week in the trial of ex-officer Derek Chauvin, charged with second-degree murder and manslaughter and third-degree murder, after pinning George Floyd to the ground with his knee for about 9 minutes. Today, that intersection, a self-described autonomous zone, residents opposing police entering.
The space has really allowed us to really work through together as a community of what is possible for us to become.
But just 3 weeks ago, there was a deadly shooting inside the area. Black business owners telling us they want the police back.
After the George Floyd and the barriers went up and then the crime rate went up then things started slowing down for us.
The trial is expected to last 3 to 4 weeks. The jury will not be sequestered until deliberations, but the judge warned that could change at a moment's notice.
So, Larry, I caught some of this mess on TV today. You had the 911 dispatcher who they play her original call, and she was completely horrified at what was going on. Larry, in her own words, when she saw Derek Chauvin choking George Floyd, she thought that the tape had stopped or blanked out because he had his knee on the man's neck for so long. This is her words, not mine. And then, Larry, they went and brought some chick that worked in one of them stores, and I couldn't even watch this chick. I mean, my God. It was just atrocious trying to watch this girl who they asked her what's the highest level of education she completed. It was 11th grade. She moved to Minneapolis from somewhere else. She worked in the 7-Eleven as a shift leader. She had eyelashes that was 6 inches long. She just was just your typical stereotypical person that the news camera would go seek out when there's some stuff going on in the community. Trying to listen to her just was hard. She kept doing this on the stand. I can't make it up. But Larry, her nails and her eyelashes was on fleek. Her teeth won't, but her nails and her eyelashes was. And what we need from people like that is for you to be up there, be able to put sentences together properly so that people can ascertain just what went down. So my question to you, Larry, having seen what's going on, understanding the evidence, and for those of you that don't know, the official coroner's report has George Floyd dying of cardiac arrest due to homicide. And if you don't know what homicide means, that means somebody killed your ass. And the one that the family did had him dying of homicide due to asphyxiation. Asphyxiation means you got choked. Larry, are we going to get justice against this cop? Or is this going to be another one of the banana in the tailpipes?
Honestly, I don't know, man. I don't know. I wanna believe that we're in a place that we might get justice, especially how much attention has gotten this case has gotten. But I just don't know. You just never know with a jury. You just never know when it comes to juries. They may find that he's guilty. Here's the thing: even if the jury finds him to be not guilty, they're going to appeal, and it's not going to be a jury. It's going to be a judge who could then turn around and set aside the conviction. He can simply say, well, this was done improperly, or there were improper jury instructions, or the DA acted inappropriately. There could be all kinds of things, and he just sets aside, the conviction. And so I want to believe we're going to get justice, but I have been on this planet in this country long enough to know that I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
Yeah, don't do it, my brother, because you might turn blue and asphyxiate yourself if you hold your breath waiting on the wheels of justice.
That death by cardiac arrest. The thing is that when you are being asphyxiated, when you're being suffocated,
right?
People often go into cardiac arrest. That you don't have any oxygen in your blood. You're not getting proper oxygen supply, which causes your organs to freak out. Some people, when they're denied oxygen, they have strokes. Other people have heart attacks. Some people have both. Some people just die. But the idea that someone died from cardiac arrest because of oxygen deprivation caused by someone choking them to death, it doesn't seem like we're talking about two different things. I know why they did that. I know why they put it there, because they're trying to say that he had a pre-existing condition and he had drugs in his system. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter if he had a pre-existing condition. It doesn't matter if he had drugs in his system. If you exacerbated those issues by sitting on his neck for 9 minutes, you still caused his death.
You did.
I mean, if I know that you have a hole in your heart because you have a congenital heart defect and I run up on you and punch you in the chest and causes you to have a heart attack and die, I can't turn around and say, well, he had a pre-existing condition. Well, yeah, you might have, but if I didn't punch you in the chest, your pre-existing condition wouldn't have had anything to do with your death.
Nothing.
You know?
Larry, that's just like all these people, Larry, that have been trying to say coronavirus is a hoax and been trying to say that coronavirus is not killing all these people, basically trying to say, oh, well, my granddaddy had asthma. COVID ain't killing, the asthma killed him. Okay, but his asthma was exacerbated by the COVID that he got, that he was in the hospital for 3 weeks on the ventilator. His ass died because COVID attacked him. It don't matter how you try to shake this up.
People, that's like saying somebody who's allergic to peanuts, they say, oh, the peanuts didn't kill him, the anaphylaxis did. Well, yeah, and the anaphylaxis was brought on by the peanuts.
Exactly.
I mean, it's stupid. It's just someone gets hit by a car. The car didn't kill him. No, it was the impact. It was the organ damage from the impacts, but that wasn't the car. Well, the car caused the impact, dummy.
Exactly.
You know? It's just like you can't say a bullet didn't kill someone. No, what caused them to die was they bled out. Yeah, they bled out because they had a bullet that went through them.
Yep.
You can't separate the two.
Now, Larry, this is what they taught me in respiratory therapy school. At the end of the day, everybody usually dies from the same thing, which is shock. For those of you that don't know what shock is lack of perfusion to the tissues or lack of blood flow and oxygen to the tissues. It's just a matter of what creates the shock to happen. What puts the wheels of shock in motion that causes you to die? That's your cause of death. Because if that action didn't create the domino chain to cause you to have lack of perfusion to the tissues, you would still be living. It's just that simple. Just that simple. So, Larry, I'm hoping for justice. I think that this prosecution has a very, very good case. They lined up things very well. They've got a strict timeline. They've got other video evidence from across the street. They brought in all these witnesses that saw everything, heard everything. It's just that it just depends on what the jury says, my brother.
Yeah. I mean, I hope they convict this guy for multiple reasons. One, because he's guilty as hell and he should be convicted. But two, I think that if they don't convict him, I think we're gonna see a divide in this country that may be that we may be unable to heal. And I'm not one of these conspiracy theorists that go and say we're going to have some sort of civil war, but we have people on the right that actively are seeking a civil war. They want a race war. They want to see a civil war in this country.
Right.
And if there ends up being some sort of catalyst where people are just basically saying F it. I have no faith in the government. I have no faith in the justice system. I mean, and here's the thing, and people don't realize this always because most of us are good law-abiding citizens, but there are places in this country where it has been that cops don't go to. It's not safe for them. Like we looked at it just on that TV show, Snowfall in LA. There's an area in LA called the Bottoms. There's another area in LA called the Jungle. And the cops didn't go there. It wasn't safe. They had to ask for permission to go in those neighborhoods, you know? And there are still places like all over. There are places all over in the U.S. like that where the cops don't go because it's too dangerous, because they have treated the people in those communities so poorly for so long that the community no longer trusts the police on any way, on any level, and will kill them on sight when they come there. So they don't go there. And if we get into a place in our country where people simply do not trust the police on any level, and just as well would shoot and kill the police rather than have to engage with them because they assume that if they engage with the cops, they're going to be killed themselves. It's not a matter of they hate the cops. It's a matter of self-preservation. If you believe that you're going to be killed, it's like seeing a lion. If you have a gun and a lion's coming at you, you don't wait and see if the lion's gonna have a conversation with you. You kill it. Because it's just self-preservation. And if you put people in the mindset that the only way to survive interactions with cops is to fight back, well, you're going to end up with a lot of ugliness in this country, a lot of violence, a lot of chaos, a lot of anarchy, and I just hope to God we know the guy's guilty. We see in the tape. I just hope to God they do the right thing so this country can try and start to heal itself.
That's right. Buzz, I appreciate you, my homie. We got a video for you. Retired patrolman right here. Our folk, Big Buzz. He knows the system
state police officer.
He knows the system inside and out. And Buzz, I appreciate you super chatting every single time we come on. This is for you, my brother. What Coming to America should have been.
I'd like to give a big round of applause to my band, Sexual Chocolate. I believe the children are our future. Thank you. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Love of all inside of me. Yeah. Sexual Chocolate.
God damn, that boy can sing.
You must be crazy.
He good.
You must be crazy.
Ladies and gentlemen, you go anywhere and you doing a big crescendo and you only get 3 claps in the audience of 500, you might need to reconsider what the hell you talking about because it ain't working. Yeah, it ain't working. And having said that, Larry, we're going to move on to a subject that we all probably, if you lived throughout the 80s and you was aware of what was going on TV, you woke up on many days to this intro right here, and it's about to be remade. It ain't many things that give me chills, but that gives me chills. Larry, I've been waiting forever for a great live action Thundercats because to see Mom Ra, the ever-living source of evil on Third Earth, on the big screen, if they do them right, it would be bananas. It would be bananas. And check this out, Larry. The guy who was doing Godzilla versus Kong is going to be doing, he signed a deal to do with HBO Max. Check this out. Adam Wingard is set to direct a Thundercats film for Warner Brothers as God vs. Kong opens successfully overseas ahead of its HBO Max and theatrical debut domestically. Warner Brothers appears to be pleased with the success of Godzilla vs. Kong so far based on its $123 million opening overseas. Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. $123 million opening overseas, which is the most during the COVID-19. And with the film earning positive reviews, Deadline reports the studio is now looking to team up with the director, Adam Wingard, again for a Thundercats film. And let me just give you guys a little clip of this. In here, he talks about how he was in high school and he would get bad grades because he was so in love with Thundercats to the point that he wound up writing a screenplay that he saved to this day that is 272 pages long. Wow. And I still have it. It's one of those things where I would carry around my notebook and talk about it. I didn't even realize the kids in my class were making fun of me as they would ask me questions about it. My Thundercat screenplay. It was only one day of my friends asked me, and I was excitedly telling him all these things about Thundercat screenplay. And I heard him turn around to some of the girls in the class. These were girls I had crushes on, and he's making fun of me. Writing Thundercats because it was ridiculous. Larry.
It's not ridiculous now.
Larry, anybody who's been thinking and dreaming of Thundercats that long has got to be thinking some of the same scripts I'm thinking in my head. Now, Larry, we've seen other iterations of Thundercats. Cartoon Network came out with one during the 2000s. That was decent. I'm not even gonna lie. It was decent. It was decent. It was good. I liked it. But then Netflix came out with this bullshit right here. What the man? What in the hell?
What is that?
Larry, I don't know. Nobody watched it. How y'all gonna screw up Thundercats like that? But for now, Larry, talk about what you can expect from this brother. And do you think he can pull off a good Thundercats? Because we could see stuff like this on the big screen. Oh my God.
I mean, I can't imagine it's not going to be dope. I mean, if the dude gets the opportunity to make a great film, and he's been thinking about it for the last 30 years or so,
yes,
I imagine he's gonna put his heart into it. So you know,
yeah.
I mean, it should be cool. I mean, I'll be honest with you. When I was coming up, I watched Thundercats every now and then. I wasn't the biggest Thundercat fan. Coming up, I was into Voltron when they were out. So, but there's a little bit of an age gap. There's about a 10-year age gap between us. So. You know,
I watched Voltron too, though.
Yeah, okay.
But it won't no Thundercats, no He-Man. I can tell you that. It was good, but it won't no Thundercats, no He-Man.
Yeah, I definitely liked He-Man too. I was down with He-Man and She-Ra, you know.
So this was the 2000s Cartoon Network version of Thundercats. It was good. It was honestly pretty good, man. It was pretty good. They did the show justice, but on the big screen, man. What can we get? And what would make this thing beautiful is how he scripts Mum-Ra. I mean, to do Lion-O and the Thundercats coming from Thundera to Third Earth, I mean, we've heard that story of superheroes coming from another planet over and over again. But to hear a really, really powerful supervillain on one planet who's basically just ruling how he wants to until these invaders come and decide that, you know what, it's time to kick your ass as we make this our new home. I can only imagine what he's going to do. And in the comic books, Larry, they did have a little strip where it was Lion-O versus He-Man for a little while. And then they wound up teaming up because Skeletor and Mum-Ra teamed up. And Mum-Ra actually got strong enough to push his sword through He-Man. He took He-Man's Power of Grayskull sword and pushed it through his chest. And we're not going to get that no time soon. I can tell you that right now. But if they can progress to where we get a crossover with Thundercats and He-Man, oh man, here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go. Oh my Lord. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the good brother. Just my opinions. Following the channel, super chatting his ass off. Be sure to go to his channel and subscribe. We tend to summit his channel often and terrorize him, terrorize his subscribers. And because it's such a meaningful super chat, I am going to give him something like this right here because I know Larry is going to love it and he's a Marvel guy.
Yeah, go ahead and burn all that.
My king, we cannot do that. It is our tradition.
When I tell you to do something, I mean that shit. Burn it all!
That's right, B. Avery. The wrongful king of Wakanda. That's right. The wrongful king of Wakanda.
Here we go. You know what? I know that you guys know that Killmonger is the rightful and true ruler of Wakanda. No. I know why you have to push back. I get that, but you know what the truth is. You know what it is.
Not a day, not any day. And I know my man B. Avery is very excited for a Thundercats film. But the question I want to know, B. Avery, did you catch this one on Cartoon Network during the 2000s? And did you like this version? I thought it was cool. I thought they had something with that version. They could have took that and went somewhere else with it, but they really didn't. But I liked it.
I don't know what the casting is going to be like. Is it going to be a bunch of white folks, or are they going to have a diverse cast, or what's it going to? I wonder what the casting is going to look like.
I'm 100% sure. Oh, B. Avery, please go catch that Cartoon Network series and then tell me what you think. It is very good. I think they'll probably make Chitara black, and they'll definitely make Panthro black. because in the cartoons, the people that voiced both of those characters were black. Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, post your comments. Let us know if you're excited. And last but not least, before me and Larry get out here, no, we have not forgotten about stocks. We've both just kind of been in chill mode, watching things as they unfold. Because when that
taking a dump on itself.
Yeah, when that tech crash hit, man, when the 10-year treasury yield decided to go up, tech went down. But we're starting to see a little bit of a leveling of the playing field now, because that's starting to taper off and the cyclicals are starting to take off. So if you've got any of the reopening stocks, those are great plays. But take a look at what happened today, and then we'll finish this video.
Jim, been waiting to get this chance to talk to you this morning, because you know how Wall Street works. You know how these things play out. Explain what you think happened with Archegos and what the potential implications are for the broader market.
Well, I think obviously there was a foot race on Friday. Goldman won it. They had those pieces done before the market opened. Looks like Nomura and Credit Suisse were too late and ended up holding the bag. I do think that you guys have had excellent coverage of these companies. The question is about Viacom and whether they basically hurt people. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that people are big boys, and as Henry said, they got smoked. Discovery got smoked. I think that the Chinese stocks come back first because when you see Tencent Music already making a comeback. But it's emblematic of what I think will happen, which is that younger people, Becky, are going to say, I told you it was rigged. I told you the whole time that Twilio was going down, it was rigged. I mean, they're going to look at the stocks and say, oh, Zoom, I knew that was rigged. And Andrew raised a great point this morning, was who moves stocks up? And if it is the Robinhood crowd, I think they're going to say, I've had it. And if they say I've had it, right, of course, when Robinhood's doing their IPO, the market's going to change. And they always call the boomers and the suits the enemy. Well, it means the boomers and the suits won. And Becky, they don't want to hear that.
That is an excellent point that we have not mentioned at all today, Jim. Just the timing on this with the Robinhood IPO that's coming up. And I guess that's the big question. Who else was holding on or got in at the highs? Because if you watch that over 2 months, I mean, that's the crazy thing. You look back 2 months, and the stocks are basically unchanged. Discovery and Viacom, at least, from where they were 2 months ago. So this was everybody who got sucked in on the upswing, and then who got left on the down.
Well, we would talk endlessly, David and I, about, like, what is Viacom doing up like this? What is Viacom? Then obviously there were people who were, I think they were shorting it and getting crushed. It's very interesting because I think a lot of the non-boomers should be asking themselves, well, what did you think happened with GME? What did you think happened? It's the same thing as what happened to, to this fund, to Archegos. I mean, geez, they just got completely wiped out. And obviously, we don't hear from Melvin Capital. We don't hear from these guys. It's just it is regarded as sinister by this younger cohort, and they'll go home. And what a shame! But they'll go home. They don't stick around. They're short timers. It's really a shame because they got smoked.
And the bad news is the lesson that teaches them for decades. I mean, you do need to be invested longer term to make money over this. I hope they don't get burned and then turn away from the markets for good.
We don't want it to be 2000 where we lost a quarter of the people who were in, and it just can't be like that. You try to teach them, Becky. We just keep teaching. Keep teaching. They don't want to hear from the suits. They don't want to hear from the boomers. But the only thing that we really have for them is history, and they need to hear it. Stay in the game. Don't get blown out.
So, Larry, that's why when I talk to you and I talk to people about understanding the fundamentals of a stock, unless it is a very, very short-term goal that you have, this is exactly what I mean. When the market erupts and throws up, if you're in quality companies that don't have a lot of debt, they spend money on their R&D, their revenues are growing, it's just a dip for those companies. They will come back. But when you get into these speculative penny stocks and they take a long ride up and then everything crashes, you could be stuck holding the bag for years with those type of stocks. That's why I always tell people, stick to the fundamentals and then have you a little pot of money on the side in which you're gambling. And so what we're seeing right now is people, you need to be getting in your Home Depots, your KB Homes, some of your popular airlines. I love Southwest. Alaska Air has good momentum. You need to be getting into Darden Food Group. You need to be getting into Tencent, MSG. All these are reopening plays that you should get into and hold through December. So when the revenues come in from these things opening back up, man, you'll be thanking me with all that Christmas money you're going to be buying back then. And Larry, talk about what you're going through in the marketplace right now, because our techs, ladies and gentlemen, we got killed on some tech calls that we did because that 10-year Treasury bull job. Now, sometimes I wonder if there's a little wizard behind closed doors pulling those levers, because there was no reason for that Treasury note to go up. It spiked up to like 2.1%, then came right back down to where it was last year. I mean, end of last year at like 1.6. And when that happened, people started pulling their money from tech because they wanted to get into the secure returns of the 10-year. And now it's back down. Larry, talk to the people.
Yeah, I mean, I know some people say, "Oh, there's no one pulling the strings." There are people pulling the strings. We know for a fact that those people run in very, very small circles. They all went to school together. They all work for the same companies. I mean, you look at these Treasury folks, and more times than not, you have people that are former Goldman Sachs, partners that go and they become Treasury secretaries or assistant secretaries, and people that are former Wall Street bankers that are now work for the Fed, or it's just it's such a small incestuous circle. You can't possibly believe that there's not people up there pulling the strings in favor of their friends and their family and their bigwigs that they used to work with on Wall Street. And it is what it is. I mean, in all honesty, I mean, I'm not playing at that big level. So all I try and do is time what I can to make some scraps off of what they're doing. Like, they're making millions, I'm hoping I can make thousands and get in and get out before I get burned. And that's really what it is.
And, ladies and gentlemen, unless it's a long-term hold, which I highly suggest that the basis of your portfolio is long-term holds. And like I said, you have a little bit of cash where you're dipping in and out of different stocks. Maybe you're buying some calls, or you're doing my ultimate plan, which is you sell puts on quality companies. I mean, honestly, you could make a living selling puts on things like Tesla, Amazon, Google, any of those quality tech companies. You could make a living, make about $2,000 to $3,000 a week just selling puts on those companies. And if you get caught with the stock, you turn around, sell a call, you just keep rotating the circle.
Yeah.
So
as long as you have the cash to do it, that's a good strategy.
It's a great option. I do it on smaller stocks, and then on the back end, I have a few that I do call buys on. So that's the foundation of my portfolio. And that's how
I know some people right now are feeling like they got bent over with Tesla because woof.
The only thing I can say is never count them out.
I'm not counting them out, but boy, people who bought Tesla when they were running up to 800 and people were thinking we're going to go to $1,000, and now it's down to 6 something.
It'll get back. It'll get back.
Honestly, I think this is probably where Tesla is going to stay for a while. I think 600 is probably a little still overinflated, but I think this is probably where Tesla should be trading in this range. I think at $700-800, I think it's way too high.
Larry, by September, this thing will be back close to $1,000.
I don't doubt it. I do not doubt it.
And then they're getting ready to have their next revenue projection. And from everything that I'm seeing, that was profitable last quarter. They're probably going to be even more profitable this quarter. They can barely keep up with demand for how much they're selling those cars. So I wouldn't be surprised if right now would be a decent time to buy, because the stock, I see it going way back up to close to $1,000. And then you've got some professional analysts saying Tesla by 2024 will be a $3,000 stock, just like Amazon. And I could easily see that happening too. So,
I don't see their vehicles as what's driving it. That's going to drive it. I really honestly think it's going to be like Starlink. That's going to be the thing that really pushes them up.
I see a combination of all of it.
Maybe they spin off their their charging stations into a separate business, and and open it up to everybody so that the Tesla charging becomes sort of the industry standard. I mean, that's one of those things I think that needs to happen is they need to have.
It's people in talks for them to do that now. But a lot of people have been kicking and screaming because they're frustrated that Tesla has kind of been the trailblazer on this thing. But at the same time, if it's going to help you out selling your cars, you might as well do it. There ain't nothing stopping you from doing it. It's the wave of the future anyway. Go ahead and jump on in there.
I mean, the thing is, you have a lot of people making different electric vehicles, and most people, like right now, it doesn't matter what kind of car you have. It doesn't matter if you buy a Lamborghini or a Lexus or a 1974 Toyota Corolla. You can all go to the same gas station and fuel up your vehicle. And what people don't want to have to do is try and think about, okay, if I buy this car, where can I go to charge it? Are there going to be places, if I decide I want to drive from North Carolina to New York, is it going to be enough places for me along the way to charge my vehicle? Or is it going to be a problem where I have to drive 20 miles off the beaten path to find a charging station? And I think if there becomes like one or two really just uniform standards as far as charging, it'll just make it easy, because then you have gas stations, either one have both, charging up, where you have gas stations, but you have service areas where you have two standards that are always available there for both people, or at least there's going to be equal amount. And I just right now I feel like there's too many. And yeah, Tesla, I think, is where people are going right now, because they have the most charging stations. Because everything, I mean, I know you have a Tesla, so maybe you know better, but I've heard some really bad horror stories about the actual quality of the vehicles. Is like they say they're very high tech, but then there's also some other things that are just, like there's some quality control issues with the cars, and I think that will probably be fixed as there's more pressure on them in the market, because I think when you start seeing Lucid Motors come out, like they just announced that they already sold out of their pre-order. They have a vehicle that's like $170,000, and they already sold out all the pre-orders for that vehicle.
It's a nice car, man. It's like they remodeled a Cadillac. It's a nice car.
Yeah, I think what happens is when you start to see more vehicles like that come online, and the battery technology is such that it can match Tesla, so I mean, that's one of the things now is you go buy a Tesla, you get 300-400 miles per charge, where you go get another car and you're getting like maybe 200, 250. And that's a big difference. And so I think when you get other vehicles that are just as luxurious or more, and they're getting the same mileage that Tesla's getting, I think we're going to see then Tesla feel the pressure to actually step up and just make a better quality, a higher quality vehicle. No,
I ain't got no problem with Tesla. The vehicle mine has been perfect quality. I haven't had no defect. It's a joy to drive. You wake up wanting to go drive somewhere or let the car drive for you. So I hate it for those people. Great. I hate it for those people that have had some of those cars with a couple of the bugs in it or what may have. I've heard about them, but thankfully hasn't hit me. And for now, somebody is going to have to be the man. You got to beat the man. And to get me out of a Tesla, man, you're going to have to beat a Tesla. So, and
that's a tricky part when it comes to a car, especially a car that has so much tech in it. If you get one that's a lemon because there's just bugs in it, it's not like going out and buying a TV set for $800 or buying a camera or a smartphone that's not acting right. Because you buy a new iPhone, yeah, maybe it's expensive. You spend $1,200-1,500 on a new iPhone, and there's some bugs in it. It's not working right. You take it back to Apple, and Apple's like, you know what? Your experience with this phone and our company is more valuable than the price of this phone, so we're just going to replace it. You can't do that when you're talking about a $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 purchase. You can't just say we're just going to replace it. So what happens is you end up with people that have to keep going back to the dealer trying to get individual things fixed, and it ruins the experience to the point where people are like, I'm never buying another one of those cars,
Right.
So,
well, People, that's it for us tonight. We're going to go and get some rest and be ready for you guys on Wednesday night. Be sure to check out both of our channels. Subscribe to Larry's channel, subscribe to mine. Check out our friends B. Avery over at Just My Opinions, E-Man, and the First Lady of Reviewing, Sharonda. All their links are in the video description. And until that next sexy as hell video, mask up, get vaccinated, and be safe.
Peace.